Welcome to another broadcast of Truth Be Told, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me as always, you have your other host, Captain Ron. Many of us would love to travel to Egypt. Well, today's guest is taking a tour to Egypt, April 14th to the 28th. Her name is Dr. Sarah Larsen. She is a medical intuitive, a palm reader, public speaker, business consultant, psychic medium, and also a host right here on UBN Radio called Miracle Makers with Dr. Sarah Larsen. Today, Dr. Sarah Larsen is going to talk about the myths, the mysteries, and the wonders of Egypt. We may not get to go with her on her tour, but we get to see through her eyes the history, the mystery of the Great Pyramids, the past pharaohs, and her many trips to Egypt. So we want to welcome to Truth Be Told, where we believe in experience becomes truth, Dr. Sarah Larsen. Oh no, it's Dr. Sarah Larsen.
I'm so happy to be on your show, Truth Be Told. Tony and Ron, what a great treat to be on your Truth Be Told on UBN. And what a great thing you're doing for our community. And I have, truth be told, I used to be a palm reader. I did that for my grandmother. I did 1,000 readings because that's what she had taught me.
1,000. Wow.
1,000 of them in her honor when she transitioned. She was also a healer, like the village healer, and just a very, very wise woman. And so I wouldn't identify myself as that way. And I love that on your show, I get to really talk about that, truth be told.
Right. It's funny that he included that in the intro, but he forgot to mention, by the way, she's an MD.
Well, you know.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, that could have been on the resume, too.
Well, that was for me, that was the most exciting part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But she also, I have to say, though, on her YouTube channel, Dr. Sarah Larsen channel, there is a couple of videos about palm reading that I mean, hundreds of thousands, or how many tens of thousands of people that has looked at it.
I wanted to immortalize my grandmother.
That's so sweet.
Way. And so when she passed, I figured that I would do 1,000 readings in her honor. She taught me so much, and I loved her so much. And I could, and looking into and sharing her wisdom,
Wow.
she was the first educator in Pakistan. I was born in the country Pakistan. By the time that I was born, it was India when she was born. And what was really amazing is she built one of the first schools for women in India, in that region, for women to be educated. And so she knew so much, but that was my way of processing it, because it was, we were holding hands. We were, and I was telling stories of when she first taught me, or what the tradition would say. And we do this, like Hippocrates read hands as well. You can read for things like whether you're able to breathe or not, your blood flow, your circulation, things like that, as a medical doctor that I'd learned in med school again. Anyway, that was being able to sit and hold someone's hand and talk about my grandmother as I taught them how to read for themselves. And that's what there is probably 10 or 20 videos online that teach you how to do it for yourself. You have markers on your body to be able to understand what's happening within you all the time, sort of your subconscious mind, what's happening, what things you're taking action steps on, and what things you're afraid to do as well. And so, yes, those are on YouTube. I love that they are available, and in that way, part of her mystery school
lives on.
Teachings live on.
I think she means like natural things, Tony, not your tramp stat tattoo. That wouldn't qualify.
Right, okay. Well, another thing that Captain Ron was asking earlier, that he goes, what necessarily is a medical intuitive? Before we get talking about Egypt.
That's a great question. So it's someone who knows how to read your whole body. And it is someone that knows how to activate and initiate what works about your body. And so 98% of all illness comes down into our body. We experience it because of stress. So if you're having some symptoms within you, most likely it's stress related. And our organs, our skin, our energy field is sending out a signal. And if you know how to tune in to that signal, much like a radio station, if you turn the dial on the old-fashioned TV stations or get the digital code, you can watch particular stations. Well, each body, each person has a particular station, and then you can go in and notice what parts of that broadcast are working and what isn't working. So within every individual, within you, are all of these signals that are being sent out. And like your liver sends out a different signal than your kidney, your eyes, your head, your brain. If you know how to read that, and what's really unique about me, what really works is I'm professionally trained as a medical doctor. And this is in my blood, so to speak. My grandmother was the village healer. When I went to med school, that's when I first learned everyone didn't see energy and frequency and vibration. And it was really a moment of clarity for me when I figured out, wow, I can see these things. And then the next step of that was to be able to share with the individual the words, the language, what they needed to say or what they needed to acknowledge they had felt in order to bring the discomfort into balance. And so that's how I work as a medical intuitive. And then I've gone on to learn. I went to med school in India. And when I was in India, I had a mentor that was an Ayurvedic local mentor that mentored me for 6 months in this. And then I came back to the States working here. I learned, self-learned on Edgar Cayce. I worked, self-learned Edgar Cayce's method. And then went on to learn Hippocrates, went on to learn, just because I love to learn. And as each one of my clients or friends or someone who is working with me to find their purpose here in life, because when we're not living our purpose or when we haven't completed what we're here to do, our body sends out signals. And so as I was learning this,
it's the wind.
Could be. They got high winds in
Las Vegas.
As they were developing.
We lost you, Sarah.
We lost you there just for a second. So,
but it's great you brought up the Edward Cayce thing. My question was, Tony said that to lead into my big question, which is, isn't Edward Cayce considered a medical intuitive as well? Wasn't he?
He is the father of medical intuition, and he would go to sleep and be able to absorb books completely. He could be on the telephone with you and tell you exactly where you were in a physical location.
Wow.
He did all of these amazing readings. His system, and we've learned so much. You've learned so much. The world has learned so much since he existed. He was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. There were he really left evidence for us, like the earliest telephones. He was making calls to Australia, across the world, sharing, oh, you're in your living room. This is what you have on your foot. There's a lot of great evidence of the work that he did. And he was the one that really brought it to our knowing that you could adjust your body just based on oils and salts, and acknowledging what was going on. And so, yes, he's quite famous for that. And he actually did readings about what's available in Egypt. And so he talked about caverns being underneath the city of Cairo, and he talked about a book of records in the Great Sphinx. And so he talked, and much of what he shared in trance and records has a great deal of science and a great deal of evidence to show that it works.
Yeah, I was sorry, Tony.
No,
I keep
go
doing
for
that.
it.
I was going to say that I want to use this to transfer over to Egypt, because this is the perfect thing. Because Cayce, his big thing was that there's the Hall of Records under the right paw of the Sphinx, And what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel that there is something there? I know they've tried to do the underground radar and stuff.
Wow, when we walk around the Sphinx, it's an incredible experience because we've got keys within us. Each person, you've got keys within you. Sort of like when you travel in the US and you go to these sacred sites. So the Sphinx is a sacred site to start with. And by sacred, I mean set apart. It's set apart from anything else you will ever experience. And they have not yet found it, but with my knowing, with my reading, my connection to it, know that it exists, as well as so many other mysteries that are being uncovered a little bit at a time as humanity becomes more and more connected.
I think we lost her again for
Oh,
a second.
shoot.
Well,
Mysteries of the Sphinx come available.
Well, I'm excited, and Ron and I are both saying we're jealous because we both have not been to Egypt. You've been there how many times?
So this is my fourth time.
Oh, fourth time. It's the way you talk about it, like you've been there 100. So,
right. We do talk with the tour company that I travel with there. I believe that we're the only tour group that comes from the United States that's had repeat people come back over and over and over with us. But meaning on the first trip, the people that went last time, one of the women named Donna Obdike, there's a video of her on YouTube. She arrived in a wheelchair and she got herself to Egypt. She stood at the Sphinx and she was able to walk in her wellness, and she rejuvenated herself. Like the rest of the tour we were on, she was so well, and she will in video talks about really knowing that she might not have made it if she didn't make it. There was a knowing that she had to get to Egypt and get to the Sphinx, and literally about 20 years younger from the time she arrived to the time that she left.
I would be an embryo.
That's amazing. I never heard about that kind of thing. Can I ask a question about this? You're talking about the Sphinx here, and since you are a medical intuitive, what do you think the actual age of the Sphinx is? Because there's Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock that think it's about 13,000 years old, and then other people say it's like 5,000 years old. Where do you fall in that?
In my knowing, I know it's over 10,000 years old. I mean,
I agree.
Of Anthony West, the rain, the weather, the continental shift. Well, the evidence for me speaks clearly to it being about over 10,000 years.
I agree, and it comes up a lot in these different areas of study that we talk about on this show, and it aggravates me when I see it on TV and they go, oh, it's 4,000 years old. That just aggravates me every time I hear him say it.
There is Dr. John West. He's a Egyptologist, and he's out of, and he studies Egypt. And again, on our tour, our yacht, our Afendina yacht, pulled up next to his yacht. We're the only tour company that got to meet up with him. And he showed us these markings in this cave that he dated back to 100,000 years.
Wow, 100,000 years. That's a long time.
100,000 years. And inside the caves, there were giraffes. There were animals that were not considered to be part of that region much later on. And so they were studying the markings, and he roughly put it to, and I'm going to the higher end of that. He said it was somewhere between 60 to 100,000 years. And most of Egypt is still uncovered. Something like only 10%. And again, that's a high estimate of how much of Egypt's secrets have been revealed. And so in a city named Sisla, he was excavating this area, and all of these great theories. It's like being on an adventure. When we go into these temples, when we go into these sacred places with the hieroglyphs, not only are we experiencing the symbols for ourselves, the Hall of Records that have existed on the walls, so to speak. But we also get to see the latest thing, and we get those new experiences. Only you can get that when you get to Egypt. So I really want you guys to come.
Oh,
I really
wish we
want
could.
you to experience what happens for you. I guarantee that nothing will be the same afterwards.
Well, I was going to go, Sarah, but Tony said we have 2 shows that when you guys are
Yeah,
gone, so
yeah.
I wouldn't be allowed to go.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately, you
sorry.
can't go. Damn it.
See?
Well, it's amazing because when the time's right, those, you have a calling, and
Right.
that calling calls you. You dream about it, and everything parts in order for you to get there. One year on one of the tours, we had a beautiful woman that didn't even know how she booked the ticket. Like she booked the tour, booked the ticket, and she did it like 2 days before she was supposed to leave. We wound up calling her and going, oh, because we didn't know anything about her. And she said, I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I see my credit card is charged for it. I see and we had to get her passport info for the indoor flights within Egypt. And she was saying, and it happened like within 48 hours of our
That's
leaving.
crazy.
And she literally did not remember there was a knowing. For those that are meant to be on a trip, they are called. And the calling is, I believe, something that is from within your soul. And so everything parts in order for you to be able to be on the journey.
Well, I want to ask, as you're an intuitive, and when you get there, is your senses even more enhanced there? Is there a certain area that's more enhanced, or is it just Egypt itself?
So there's only one wonder of the ancient world that remains. There's only one. And airplanes can't fly around it. And it's, I think, the size of 13 Empire State Buildings. It has more stones than all of the churches and cathedrals. And so it's, as someone that's very sensitive to energy, it's palpable. The Great Pyramid is palpable from wherever you are in that region. And the closer you get to it, the more intense and amazing it is for your body, the more amazing it is for all of those senses that you have within yourself that aren't completely initiated or activated. All the dormant senses, the closer you get to it, the more you're able to feel it.
Well, we've had many people on our show, Truth Be Told, and to talk about the Great Pyramid and what it truly is. We've heard a generator. We've heard it as energy, a marker. What do you feel, the people that you've talked to, being there and intuitively, what do you feel the Great Pyramid was built for?
For those who know how to listen, you know exactly the space in which, who created it, how it was created, the energy of those that want to communicate with you. My experience in the Great Pyramid and being in the King's Chamber, it is intense. And I experienced all of the ancient teachers, the ascended masters, come into that space and give me amazing language, amazing connection, amazing feelings, initiations. As I was sitting there, it was a timeless time and space. And so I believe they're healing chambers. I believe there's sound. They're also markers for aligning us, you, me, the earth, to the universe. They're positioned in a particular manner. They carry a frequency and a vibration so that you can tune into any and every station that's existed over time. So if each ascended master, if each person that walked the earth has a frequency, it's a location that you can tune into that frequency, as well as adjust your own to the highest level that you're willing to receive.
That's quite different than Ben Carson saying it's stored grain, right?
Right.
That's sort of like the other end of the spectrum, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you guys sent a bunch of pictures over, and I'd like to, and for our podcast people, we'll explain what they are. But I would like to go through them because some of these are very significant, and then I want to go over your itinerary for the people that may want to join, or even the following a year they might want. If you have another tour, we'd love to have them join you as well.
We want to give to you, Tony and Ron, as much as we can, and so whatever serves your beautiful audience. And these pictures are amazing, so I highly recommend that you go to Truth Be Told and watch this as well, because when you see the sacred geometry, even in video, even in pictures, there's a shift. The symbols, just imagine how long it took to create these symbols, the art with which they were created, the skills, and something happens to the two in our brain, in our body, when we even see these images. So I highly recommend you go see these as well. If you're
go to Truth Be Told TV on YouTube.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to show this first one. It looks like you're dropping a flower into, is that the Nile or?
It is the Nile.
Wow.
That's on this island, just right off the island of Philae, which is an amazing island where the first temple was there, just to the goddess Isis, the healer and the mother of all. There's a lot of great mythology and carvings and stories written in symbols on the wall. And so I was putting into the water just this beautiful flower to experience the sacred rituals that must have gone on there, and to feel the blessing of what it is. Those are the waters that have carried humanity. And so I was thanking the waters of the Nile and sending that flower to the original temple as well.
No, it's a beautiful picture. That's one thing I think I definitely would want to see is the Nile, because I agree with you. That was their highway. That's what got them to other countries and other countries to them, and the trade and carried the royals. And so I think
the blocks.
The blocks. This one is I must be still on the Nile, and it's a picture of a boat. I'm sure that's just. Is that just a?
That's the Afendina, and so we travel in a very small group. People like Bill Gates, Greg Braden, Marianne Williamson, Gene Houston have all been on that boat. Called the Afendina, and we go together so that we're together as a family. Those that are invited or those that make it on the trip with us it's amazing when the calling comes once you return to the boat. And I believe that's one of the reasons we've had so many people return with us on these journeys, is because of the love that's on that boat. The Afendina, the way in which they take care of us as well. We eat directly off the land. We meet the locals along the way who just love us to death. They love sharing their food, their bread, their tea, and fresh food from the garden. And we're literally stopping off and getting off the boat and visiting these sacred sites, which is quite incredible as well.
Well, this one I don't recognize, so I'm looking forward to see if you could.
Valley of the Kings.
Is that the Valley of the Kings? Can you see that, Dr. Sarah?
I don't see anything on my screen.
Oh, okay. So it's
the tombs that are up against the.
Standing in front of it.
Hatshepsut.
Hatshepsut.
So,
it's so funny. She was
hot soup. Is that?
Yeah, hot soup. Come through.
How you refer to it, even there, hot cheap suit is how they teach you to remember it. And that is one of the places, this incredible pharaoh, female pharaoh. She ruled, and there were so many years of peace with the neighboring countries because she went shopping. So Pharaoh Hatshepsut went to Africa and brought back and took with her great riches from Egypt, and brought back medicine, and brought back great animals, and brought back peace to the land, which had been missing for a long time in that area. And so she only female pharaoh, and such a great leader from the standpoint of she would find she would find a way to make whatever regions weren't working work. And then she was quite lovely. We go to that temple early in the morning and see it as the sun rises. And then it's very, very light and very much an experience of recognizing all the different ways that peace can be made. And I think that's one of the great things about Egypt as well. It's a place with the synagogues, with churches, with mosques, and also this ancient tradition that's there as well and preserved for those that want to come experience the hieroglyphs for themselves.
I want, as an intuitive, also, have you ever had a spirit of a pharaoh come through to you?
So our last tour group and the spirit, yes. So the experience at the Great Sphinx, I had very much the experience of Tutmosis, like experiencing that. And then the experience as we go through each of these places, the stories come alive for us and get to experience it. And this is a mystery. We don't go into it as experiencing religion or it's experiencing the story and having the story come to life in a way that we can understand how the first of everything was created. Like at some point there was a beginning to the Nile. At some point there was a beginning to each of the in Egypt, they even marked the beginning of when immortality and the gateways to get into heaven began. There was a first time that we made agreements. And so the evidence of all of those agreements that we made are written in hieroglyphs. The use of the ancient technology, all of the herbs, all of the elixirs are written again in symbols. And for those that know how to read it, they were doing brain surgery without anesthesia, thousands of years ago. And we've got images of surgical trays that I used in my surgery rotations and used from, taking out a gallbladder. There is the same exact tray on the walls of the hieroglyphs displaying that.
This next picture, it's very grand. It looks like you're going into a Vegas casino.
The Luxor, yeah.
Yeah, the Luxor. It looks like two big, I don't know if it's pharaohs or guards, and you're walking. It looks like you're walking into like a city that's, I don't know if it's inside of a cave or inside of a...
Abu Simbel, and we're going on this year's tour is called the Legends Tour, and next year we have some sort of great surprise. And so the great surprise this year is Abu Simbel, and we're in that region, and we experienced. I haven't been, but Ricky Byers Beckwith had direct communication with ascended masters and pharaohs in that temple.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, it's a beautiful,
amazing
marker of what this grand. I guess because this was thousands of years that these people that ruled, and then unfortunately as everything does, it ends. But Well, this next picture, it looks like you're inside of a tomb, and it's a ISIS sanctuary. So, your hands are on it.
We're touching the granite there, and we bring with us special oils, and these special oils are to bring our senses to feel more alive there. And so, right in that temple, this amazing crystals, granite. They hold a frequency and an energy. And I could also talk like what not to do in Egypt is I've been there a few times. Going back today to honor these sacred places, I probably would not be touching all of the different, I would experience it more with energy field than actually touching it. What that is we can sense so much more with our energy body. The ancient Egyptians and what we're seeing in science with the double toroidal field, which is this energy field that we know that our heart puts out. What they had symbols for that, language for that we're now developing language for in our own science. And it's a way in which we can fully come alive within ourselves and be able to do what we're here to do. So it's that particular space, the feeling, the vibration, when you sing inside that chamber, so much pain and misunderstanding that you've had in your life falls away. And what becomes available is a space to really, truly connect with the universe, or what you might call the higher force, or with God. I believe once we remove pain, and I've witnessed this over and over again, someone lets go of the pain. I guarantee you, if you let go of all of the pain in your life, you would feel free, you would feel new, you would feel so blessed, like I do. I just feel new and blessed and grateful all the time, because I've got this reset button that let go of fear, that let go of pain, that let go of so much. And so instead of doing 20 years of therapy or 15,000 hours of meditation, you go into these sacred sites that were built by pharaohs and priests and artisans, and they're made in sacred geometric forms with crystals and healing properties within them. And you sit silently, or you experience your own energy field. You pray, so to speak, in a manner just to be receptive, to be open, to receive. And in that receiving, so much gets dropped, let go. And you have a new reset button that becomes available for you.
Tony, we should take a quick 1-minute break here, but we're with Dr. Sarah Larsen. This is Tony Sweet and Captain Ron on Truth Be Told. We'll be back in 1 minute. Meanwhile, I'm going to ask Tony during the break if I can get off the next 2 weeks to go away to Egypt. We'll see how that goes after the break.
No. Be right back. From anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain. Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free at home, and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show.
Okay, we are back
Do
on
you
Truth
suffer
Be
from
Told
anxiety?
with Tony Sweet and Captain Ron. And Captain Ron is not allowed to go, Sarah, so
Nope.
we're with Dr. Sarah Larsen.
If I don't
we will
go,
not be joining you.
don't go.
So I will not be allowed to join you. But let me, since I can't go and many of our listeners cannot go, let me ask you, Sarah, especially the first time, what is it like to truly stand before the Great Pyramid? Because I've wanted to do this since I was 9. And, one day, like you said, it'll just come to me and I'll be able, 2 days before one of these tours, I'll end up going. But meanwhile, till then, tell me what it's like. I know you've gone four or five times now. What was it the first time? Is it as big as you think? Was it bigger than you think? Like, I can't even tell. I see pictures and I've read about it, but what is it really like to stand before this thing?
To stand before this thing is...
Or the Great Pyramid, actually.
I'm sorry, stand before the Great Pyramid is an amazing experience. It's all of the churches that I've probably been in my lifetime come together. The goosebumps, the movement of joy, of energy. There are no words. It's awe. It's like, wow. And so you're having an experience of being there. You're on our tour. You also have the experience of being on your own in this space. Instead of having lots and lots of people around, we go at sunrise and we watch and experience. And literally, I felt like an ant looking at this amazing and feeling the vibration and the technology of it. It's like a wind storm, an energy storm, and a download of information and a feeling of joy and goosebumps all over, of all of the places, all of the sacred places over the years that I'd been. This really stood out for me.
Dr. Sarah, one thing when we were talking earlier, and I'm a big history buff, and like Ron, I do want to see the Great Pyramid. I want to go to Machu Picchu, and there are other sites around the world, and I've seen many programs from Ancient Aliens to other things that mention that many cultures have pyramids. And it all seems to go back to the Great Pyramid to being the inspiration. Even Washington, D.C. was built on many of the culture of Egypt. Why do you feel that Egypt has been so important to us as a society, as Earth as a whole? Why do you feel that it's still so significant to our existence?
It's so significant to our existence. Our existence goes back to having a record there. It's a time in which language is recorded around it, and the world organized itself around it as well. There are, I think, within Egypt, and again, only 10% of it has been uncovered. There are 130 other pyramids. What's consistent with the Great Pyramid is the sacred geometry. The 3 that are right there on that strip in that location all line up perfectly. And the probability of something that magnificent, that specifically, you can't stick a piece of paper. We still don't have the architectural intelligence to build something as precise as that. And we know when sacred geometry, when things are aligned in a pattern, everything adjusts itself around it. So the significance of it stands for everything organizes itself better from the origin that we record is the origin. And a pyramid represents the peak, the best. It also represents as above, so below. It's also one of the shapes that truly is a geometrical form that helps us organize better. Everything else is built on that form. And this is causing a sound frequency. It's causing a vibration. And so it's the only standing part of the ancient world. There were seven wonders of the world. It's the only one still standing. And when you're there, you fall into the mystery of what created it. I believe it wouldn't exist like it does if we didn't feel, you humans, all of us didn't feel a profound shift in its company.
Wow. Yeah, because like you said, it's still like even in Vegas, there's a whole, hotel built up. So if you say there's only 10% that has been found, what do your gut feeling underneath the sand? Do you feel there's something that could potentially change the way we look at ourselves and in our future and our past that's still buried? Because only 10%, that's not that much.
It's an incredible experience to feel what has been uncovered and what's in the museums, and much of the museums in London, the Getty, Italy, all over the world. Much of Egyptian art's been collected. And I believe to really, we could frame it to say only 10% has been uncovered. And what that's done for us is amazing. It's given us a language, like the term Tepi. This is an ancient term that means the time before time. And there are, at least in a symbol, can't be misunderstood, whereas a word or what it's pointing to can be misunderstood. So when something happens to us, when we're looking at a symbol that is and happens consistently over and over again, it shows us there's so much we don't know, and what's available wakes us up to being able to know ourselves more. What created us, this beautiful, and I term it as God, what created us, beautiful, sacred, amazing, is so mysterious that we have to wrap words around it. And the wrapping of these words can be done, experienced in symbols, can be experienced in these ancient places that still exist as sacred sites. And the only lasting place is the Great Pyramid from the ancient world.
Well, we have about 7 minutes left. And before, I kind of want to go over the itinerary just to finish it out. But, this being truth be told, we have to ask, about extraterrestrial influence. Do you feel that there was any type of extraterrestrial influence in the making, the building, the mystery of Egypt and the pyramids?
There is so much that is mysterious. And for each person, based on their level of consciousness, they get the direct answer themselves. So you traveling and being in that environment, you're able to see, like at the Assyrian, you see the symbols of sacred geometry. And in those hieroglyphs there, they do have what looks like a helicopter, what looks like a UFO. Those symbols are there, and each person that goes has their own experience to answer that question for themselves.
Let me ask you this: what about so you've been there? Obviously, the Great Pyramid is amazing. But what other area did you see in Egypt there that maybe we don't all know about that you thought was special or unique or amazing?
The Assyrian is this. It's much like the in Stonehenge in England. The stones are just as large, amazing, built in much of the sacred way, the same way that Stonehenge is built. And that's underneath one of the temples. When Seti II's temple was being built, they redirected the shape of the temple based on finding something sacred. Everything set apart in Egypt is honored. So if something is shows up as a church, as a place where the community came together. It's set apart and it's made sacred. And so when Seti was setting up his temple, he found this older place underneath, and that's called the Assyrian. The Assyrian has markings of the flower of life, which has been found in at least 14 other countries and all of sacred sites, including Peru, which I love that you're going to Machu Picchu. Each of these places call, and when you see what's there with your own eyes, you can't imagine what happens for you on the inside. You realign to be able to connect with your own sacred geometry, that which has been set apart within you.
Well, one other I'd like to talk about, and I want to get your take on, is Petra. That's such a beautiful
in Jordan.
Petra, Jordan.
Yeah. But because there's a picture that you and Greg sent over, and I just find it, like you said, find it fascinating how even today with the tools that we've had, that we have today, still sometimes can't get perfection. Where these are, it just looks like they've had. I don't know. It's hard to explain. So when you walk,
Petra, it's so hard to paint. Got an amazing amazing thing carved into the countryside. I'm going to show you a picture right here for those that can see it. And this perfect crystal they carved on the hillside of, and it takes, and I haven't been yet.
Oh, you haven't been.
But thanks for bringing it up anyway, Tony.
Well, they sent me the picture. I thought it.
Going to Petra, and we're taking an extension and a group with us so that we can experience the art, the history, and the amazing capital of the ancient world carved into caves beautifully. We couldn't do that with lasers today.
Right. So when you, because we're only 3 minutes left. Okay, so when you put this itinerary together, how did you do it, or did the touring company do it, or we
love making it the best experience for those coming with us, and so we have a knowing those that are feeling called to come, call us, and we've already designed the experience for them. So it's we ask for certain criteria and the tour company matches it. And so it's kind of cool to travel with a psychic and a medical doctor and a medium that knows who's going to be with us. It's really, really cool to be able to know what you need and what you don't need on a trip, and for it to come together so, I like to say the word organically. It just like that young lady didn't know that she was going to come, and she was like of the Mormon faith. She was a descendant, and on that tour we had stopped at one of the locations that was really, and we planned that, and she only knew she was coming 2 days before, but like a 24, 48-hour period before we called her, and then shortly thereafter she was en route with us. It was a very short period of time, and we planned that, and for her that experience just broke her open, made her life exactly, she's like happily married now, and that was within 2 years of that trip. She had let go of so much of her past, and it came from the symbols and the experience that was sacred to her and her tradition.
And I know the feeling. Every time I've been to like a historical site from the Westminster, but 1,000 years old or whatever, I do feel a change in myself. I feel more connected to my past, and I think this would be a great opportunity for anybody to go if they can't do it this year. Please.
Yes, if it'll call to you, and you'll know you have to be there. And I believe, and I know this is, energy is never created nor destroyed. It's only reorganized. It's only used in a better manner. And so what we are is never created nor destroyed. It's just amplified, becomes better in the process. So if the ancient wise ones, from Moses to Christ to all the records we have, they all went to Egypt and they all experienced that when it was their time. For every person that's feeling that call, a reorganization of themselves happened. The way that Moses was found, we go and we stand at that, what they think is that spot. The church that Mother Mary and Christ hid for 3.5 years, they think, in Egypt, and there was a crypt and there was a church built around where she hid, which is very close to the synagogue. All of the sacred sites to all the faiths that have a place that is recognized there. The Rosetta Stone, the one that recorded the different languages, the Sumerian, they found those in this place in order to, they have records for us to know ourselves. And when you're called and when you're ready, an ancient place will call to you so that you can know yourself, your story. If we go far enough back in history, we're all family. Or if we go far enough into the future,
we're brothers.
Family. So it's like knowing your family history, so to speak.
Was that my brother, cousin type of thing?
Right.
No, that's Arkansas. Sorry.
Right.
All right. Well, Dr. Sarah, thank you so much. You have been a joy. And if anybody from now until April?
If you hear the call.
If you hear the call, they're leaving April 14th, going all the way to the 28th of April, going to Egypt. Greg and her husband and Dr. Sarah Larsen and a group of people are going. Just go to drsarahlarsen.com. And hopefully that'll lead you to where you can purchase tickets. If not, again, like she says, the calling will maybe next year, the year after, whenever it is, it'll be your time. So, but thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you, Captain Ron. Thank you, Tony. I love you guys so much.
I love you right back. And make sure you listen to Miracle Makers right here on UBN every Friday at noon. On Channel 1. All right. We'll talk to you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was pretty amazing.
You let me go next year or what?
Next year, yes. But I have to go with you.
All right. Deal.
And we'll share a bed, okay?
Hey.
Hey, it gets cold out in the desert.
Man, Egypt, every time I talk about it, Egypt's just really, it's been calling to me a long time.
Yeah, I
it's
don't
the
know
funds
how I
are a
feel.
big part of it too.
It is. It's expensive.
It's not a cheap trip.
And I was going to ask her before we close. I was going to ask her, the safety. How
that's another issue.
Yeah, right now that might be a safety issue. But all right, well, check her out, drsarahlarsen.com. You can check us out on our YouTube channel, Truth Be Told Web TV, and also go to truthbetoldwebtv.com. And check us out on iHeart, iTunes, all the places. This is a show that if you are interested in Egypt, this might get you motivated to purchase a ticket and go for yourself. Until next time, we'll see you right here on Truth Be Told. Bye.